as Trump is absolutely panicking about his Epstein problems, and they're getting worse, we have a disturbing Ghislaine Maxwell bombshell. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get to the Trump trying to run away from this of it all. But first, the New Republic is reporting that Trump was quoted as saying to his aides, this is, quote, going to F me, crashing out over Epstein chaos. Why won't they shut up about it? He's been saying. And I referenced this Ghislaine Maxwell, it is so frightening to see the links that the Trump DOJ might go to protect Trump and to get this to go away. And that might include making some deal with Ghislaine Maxwell with a little wink, wink, give us real or just, accused bombshells about the people Trump doesn't like. And let's not mention anything about Trump. And in exchange, we can make a deal. I'll talk about the specifics of that. But first, to get there, what would the Trump world have to do? If they're going to get to the place of it could go as far as commuting her sentence or pardoning her, but even just a deal of some kind with some immunity. If they're going to justify that, what would you have to say about her first? Well, you would portray her as maybe she wasn't as bad as we thought, if they're going to be seen as making that type of deal. And that's exactly what's happening in Trump world, where they're starting to go, maybe she was a victim, which flies in the face of all the witness testimony, all the evidence, which is why she was convicted in front of a jury of her peers of the trafficking that she was engaging in.
The Trump administration potentially moving toward is claiming she was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, that she was somehow not, a sex trafficker herself, but somebody who was caught up in his crime wave. The reason I think that is that people close to the administration have started describing her as a victim.
MAGA media has already been doing that. We have two of those sound bites put together of people making this shift that you're referencing here.
She just might be a victim. She just might be. There was a rush to judgment. There was a lot of chaos there for a while. All right. Granted, she hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, and I know that's apparently not good, but she's in jail.
This is why they're going straight to the source and why this is so powerful. If anybody actually has the information of what has happened around Jeffrey Epstein, it's not going to be some James Comey created file. It is going to be Ghislaine Maxwell.
She hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, and I know that's apparently not good.
Apparently.
The victims, I think, would like to have a word.
Well, I mean, I think you just hit on a thing that I think is key here, is that this involves real crimes that Jeffrey Epstein committed against young women. There are real victims here. There are real victims who suffered, whose lives have been...
Yeah, what is that Greg Kelly quote? Apparently that wasn't a good thing. And then she very well could have been a victim. I mean, if you ignore all of the evidence that she was the one facilitating, I don't know if this is the right word, but essentially the word people use is recruit. That feels a little wrong to me. But coercing the girls into Epstein's orbit. But that would be the groundwork you'd lay for what we're now hearing reportedly is a consideration. Mediaite reports, if you're keeping score at home, a convicted sex trafficker may soon receive DOJ immunity brokered by a Trump ally. Todd Blanch, who's the deputy attorney general, was Trump's personal lawyer before that. And he was the one who got to go interview Ghislaine Maxwell. So brokered by a Trump ally, that's who's being referred to, in exchange for testimony that conveniently exonerates Trump and implicates Democrats, all while Trump world tries to paint her as the real victim. It's absurd, it's grotesque, and if this were happening in another country, we'd call it what it is, corruption in broad daylight. Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't deserve our sympathy. She deserves to serve every day of her sentence. And the idea that Trump's people are preparing to weaponize her testimony while pretending he never knew Epstein should send a chill down the spine of anyone who still believes in justice. So attention needs to be raised about this and called out preemptively so they don't try to pursue it. And what we would want from her is all of the information we could possibly get. What Do you think Todd Blanch, that's what he wants? Just whatever they can get? Or do you think he very specifically was sent in there to try to figure out a way to use this testimony for Trump and against those that Trump doesn't like? And if that leads to an exchange of that, in exchange for her getting some deal, it will be an unbelievable miscarriage of justice. So that's why we do need to raise attention. We'll get to how Trump is kind of running from this in a second. But first, this is wild. On July 15th, Trump said, yes, I got briefed about Epstein. On July 25th, he goes, no, I was never briefed.
The Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
What? On
the DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein.
Okay.
On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she brief on your name appearing in the Epstein files ever?
No, I was never briefed. No.
Did you ask how?
We covered on a morning show that serial killer who, after 40 years of getting away with it, was caught, and we were watching the detectives interrogating him, and he's sitting there getting 40 years he got away with this, and there were multiple girls he had murdered, and you're watching, and he goes, they had only brought up one girl, and he goes, oh no, that was the other girl. The other girl was up on the hill, and the detectives were like, we didn't bring up another girl. And he went, oh, no, wait, you. And when you're watching, you're thinking, haha, they got you. But also, what are you doing? Come on. That's like the one thing when you start getting interviewed, you don't start throwing out information they haven't yet brought up. That's in every single Hollywood movie, is that you got a clear story and you don't start bopping outside of it. It's a similar thought here where I'm like, I'm happy they keep making these mistakes because I want him to be exposed in whatever capacity, and I want to figure out why he's been so suspicious about this. We gotta know, but at the same time, I'm just watching. I'm thinking, what are you doing? Just I don't know. I'm not rooting for you, but what kind of foolishness? Get a story. It feels like he doesn't have the respect for us to get a story straight. Can you get a coherent story? There are no files. Oh, there are, but they're created by Obama. I didn't get briefed. That letter's fake, or J.D. Vance. Trump was saying the letter's fake. J.D. Vance was saying, I have no idea if it exists. It could exist. It might not exist. But he said it was fake, so it does exist, but it's fake. No one's keeping their story straight. Please give us the respect of trying at your lies. Okay, so as he was caught up in all of this, he sprinted off. He ran off to Scotland and got a very unwelcome welcome.
We're going to start with Scotland, or we're going to go back to Scotland, I guess.
By the way, I hate to do this. Please, as you're watching, click the subscribe button. Great. And then if you want to go a step further, the join button's next to it, and that gets you the bonus show. It was recently my birthday, so we had a big birthday bash where we reflected on life and had a more personal conversation. If you like that type of stuff, it is there. Supports the show. The join button. All right, here you go.
Yes, where President Trump has flown to escape the Epstein story. And here's how he was greeted as he got off the plane today.
On your name appearing in the Epstein files ever?
No, I was never briefed. No.
All right, so he left the White House and was asked a question about Epstein. Then he tried to escape. He quite literally banned the Wall Street Journal from joining him on his trip to Scotland as retaliation for their big scoop last week about his alleged birthday letter to Epstein. And yet, immediately after getting off the plane today in Scotland, he was asked about Epstein. He clearly wants this trip to be his running away, across the pond, across the ocean, from the Epstein story. But it still followed him. This was Trump's view as his motorcade made its way to his golf course in Scotland today. One sign there reading, "Release the files, you lying jobby." I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but jobby, J-O-B-B-I-E, which I learned today is Scottish slang for poop, so there's that. In case that's useful for anyone out there this weekend, now you know. Jobby, poop. This man's sign reads, "This is not Pedophile Island. You are not welcome here." That's what it says. And then at his golf course itself, a sign reading "Twinned with Epstein Island" has been put beneath the golf course's actual sign. There it is. It looks like it's in similar type that took a lot of planning, and they attached it. It looks like it was meant to be there. Even the local elected officials were in on the trolling. Stephen Flynn, Aberdeen's entirely bald representative in the British Parliament, who you can see.
You're going to understand why she described him that way in a second. But before it got to the punchline, I was like, my gosh. Jen Psaki, that's brutal. Entirely, excessively, astronomically bald representative. But it makes sense, you'll see.
Even the local elected officials were in on the trolling. Stephen Flynn, Aberdeen's entirely bald representative in the British Parliament, who you can see there in the photo, told the BBC that he would be busy washing his hair during Trump's visit. It's quite a troll. So while Trump is going to literally great lengths to try to get away from the Epstein story, it seems he's having a bit of trouble.
Yeah, the story can cross state lines. Unlike undocumented immigrants. It can cross vast amounts. The reporters can still ask you while you're there. You know that, right? What? I left DC. Why am I still getting asked about this? This is Scotland. But, that wasn't fair, was it? Surely there were fans. There were fans greeting him too, right? This is a video the White House posted with the epic music. So as the headline wrote, Trump greeted by at least 6 squealing fans. A whopping 6 fans were there to greet him. Now, I saw somewhere, I don't have the clip, but I saw somewhere Stephen Chung or something posting a video of a big crowd. Maybe there's a big crowd somewhere that was there to greet him. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm sure there's even MAGA in Scotland. They seem to be everywhere. But that was just funny that they posted, bump, bump, bump. It turns around. It's like, woohoo! Yay! Not as epic as the music may have led you to believe, but Trump he's adding another person. So he went, I'll arrest Obama, I'll arrest Comey, I'll arrest anyone. And it seems pretty transparently that's been an attempt to distract from the questions about Epstein. But now he realized that's not really working, and instead of going, okay, this strategy is not working, of throwing out new conspiracy theories about Obama and about how he stole the election from me and how we're going to prosecute him, which they're obviously not. Instead of going, that's not working, he went, let me lean in more and just add Kamala to the list. He said, I'm looking at the large amount of money owed by the Democrats after the presidential election, the fact that they admit to paying, probably illegally, $11 million to singer Beyonce for an endorsement. How do you say they admitted it when that's not even true at all? The only thing was not $11 million, some amount that was totally reasonable to the production company associated with Beyonce when Beyonce had an event where there was production costs. She never sang not one note and left the stage to a booing and angry audience. $3 million for expenses to Oprah. $600,000 to very low-rated TV actor Al Sharpton. A total lightweight and others to be named for doing. So he's lying. Absolutely nothing. These ridiculous fees were incorrectly stated in the book's records. You are not allowed to pay for an endorsement. It is totally illegal to do so. Can you imagine what would happen if politicians started paying for people to endorse them, which is not what Kamala did? All hell would break out. Kamala and all those that received endorsement money broke the law. They should all be prosecuted. Thank you for your attention to the matter. So he's just adding Kamala to the list. Is he going to prosecute her? No. Is he trying to distract with that proclamation? Yes. Now, I've been asking the question, where is Dan Bongino? Ever since the Epstein crisis broke out, he's been gone. I don't know if this was the last interview he did, but I think it might be the one where he's like, I'm just looking at 4 walls all day. It's really tough. And my wife, she's not my wife. We're divorced, but we're not divorced, but we're separated. And we haven't slept together in years. And he was just not loving his job. But he finally kind of came out of hiding to send out a post. I don't know where he's sending this from, maybe a bunker, but he said, during my tenure here as the deputy director of the FBI, I've repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they're happening. The director and I are committed to, and he's the deputy director of the FBI, if you don't know. to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We are going to get the answers we all deserve. As with any investigation, cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort to at truth. Not my truth or your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defend her. Respectfully, Dan. So, that's cool. I guess he's saying they found a lot of deep state corruption. Some people are reading that as, yes, this is Dan Bongino. Some people are reading that as what he's found related to Epstein. Some people are saying about other stuff. Maybe he's jumping on the Obama train. We don't know. Very vague. What a ridiculous post. Just, what are you saying? What I've found investigating my office shocked me to the core. We have a lot of boxes of pep. Shocking. Drinkpep.com. I don't know. Who knows? I don't really have a way to transition into this photo, but I just thought I'd show it.
McDonald's cheeseburger.
Yeah. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as Ron Filipkowski showed us, is facing the liberals with power and strength, with an excessively thin tie, and with a shirt that is busting open at the seams. With a nice peek into his chest. Why is the tie so small? We will never know. Okay? So checking that off the list. And then you might be thinking, is anyone defending Trump in MAGA world? Yes. Aelia Banks. Aelia Banks is a rapper and endorsed Trump. Okay? And Trump had posted that back when she endorsed him. And she decided she'd send out a little post saying, okay, all right, let's say he did something wrong here. Let's say he had sex with a minor. How minor? Was the question she asked. Okay, in Donald Trump's defense, effing 14-year-old girls was really only made a social taboo in the 1990s. My grandmother was born in 1927 and had her first child when she was 12. Teenage pregnancy only became frowned upon when with the rise of Jerry Springer, and I also can be honest about the fact that I was old enough to choose, seduce, and decide to F grown-ass men when I was 15. I really don't get why women are fronting like they weren't effing 40-year-olds at 15. Like, come on now. I'm honestly not surprised or mad at Trump for getting some 15-year-old... I'm going to like triple fact check. If this gets posted, I'm going to have triple fact check that she actually posted this. For getting some 15-year-old P word, because those were the times. Good night, USA, for effing ever. Now, if he was effing a 10-year-old, we have a problem. But if the girls were 13 plus, who cares? Move on. So that's disturbing. And then Mark Wayne Mullen on CNN. What, Cole? I saw your finger moving.
Give me a joke.
Okay. Yeah, we've, have you heard that one yet? Did you know that he said that? Did I say subscribe already in this segment? Sorry, we do these all at once, so I'm saying a lot. Good, I mean, another reminder's not bad. Here is him getting all bent out of shape as Jake Tapper has to fact check him on this topic.
Even weigh in on that. But I'll go back to what you're saying about it wasn't true. The case was sealed in 2009. That's absolutely true. It was heard in 2008. It was sealed in 2009.
The point is that the sweetheart deal, which was completed in 2008, was under the Bush administration, U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta. That's why Alex Acosta resigned in the first Bush administration, because the Miami Herald had written this.
He meant to say the first Trump administration, I think.
Story in 2018 about how Epstein got away with so much. And then in 2019, the U.S. attorney under President Trump Jeff Berman in the Southern District of New York then brought charges against him. So, I mean, there is stuff to say that you could point to that say, like, President Trump did this or President Trump did that.
And remember, in 2019, President Trump and his administration called for it to be unsealed at that time, too. It went silent, and not a word was said during the Biden administration. Not a word. Nothing was said during the Biden administration.
That's not true either, but I mean, not the full extent, but things were released. And Trump was president in 2019, and then in 2020 when Epstein died.
People can look it up. The sweetheart deal was 2008 during the George W. Bush administration. But I always appreciate your coming on the show.
Well, I don't. So there's all that.